Okay, so the name of this album is Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits. I bought it at Skip's Records sometime around 1990 for $2.99. And I bought it basically because I wanted Sounds of Silence, but I have some other songs I like, including some from the album I previously reviewed. But when I pulled the album out to listen to it, I got this instead. Rock is Here to Stay. And it's got tracks on it like Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins, There Goes My Baby by the Drifters, Wild One by Bobby Rydell, Blueberry Hill by Fats Domino, My Boyfriend's Back by the Angels, The Silhouettes by the Rays, that's side one. Side two, Up the Mountain by the Magnificents, Down the Isle of Love by the Quintones, I'll Be Forever Loving You by the Eldorados, Church Bells May Ring by the Willows, Venus by Frankie Avalon, When You Dance by the Turbans, and Calendar Girl by Neil Sedaka. Okay, so that sounds like a pretty good album, but it's not the album I bought. I have listened to this in the past, but at some point, with all my travels and stuff, somebody took my record out of this sleeve and put this other thing in here. So I can't listen to it for this review, but so I'll just have to put this up here while I read you the titles. Okay, so side one is Mrs. Robinson from The Graduate. Then For Emily, Wherever I May Find Her from Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme. Then The Boxer. And then 59th Street Bridge Song, Feeling Groovy. Then The Sound of Silence. And then I Am a Rock. And Scarborough Fair Canticle. And side two starts off with Homeward Bound, followed by A Bridge Over Troubled Water, then America and Kathy's Song, Al Condor Pasa, if I could, Bookends, and ends with Cecilia. So that's the tracks that were on this album that I no longer have. It has disappeared. I like this one so much that when I was in Europe, I got the hankering to listen to some records. I bought a record player and bought some records, and this was one of them I bought. It used to be out in front of Diocletian's Palace. There were people who would sell a bunch of old junk, antiques. And there were 2 or 3 of them who would sell old albums. And in fact, there was a particular Beatles album that I didn't hear about until just before I left, and I wanted to get it because I'd seen it in one of those people selling it, but I didn't manage to get hold of it. It's called a collection of Beatles oldies or collection of Beatles hits, and it was the first non-bootleg Beatles album ever sold in Yugoslavia. And it was remixed, especially for Yugoslavia. The same album exists in other countries, but the Yugoslavia version is a slightly different mix than the other countries got. So, would have liked to have gotten hold of that, but I didn't manage to. I didn't know about it until just before I left, and I couldn't find these guys. I think the police cracked down on them or something. And they didn't have a shop where you could just go buy it. Now, I was going to get one as a present for my sister, who's also a Beatles fan, but because her birthday was coming up, and I couldn't get it. And then now, I wish I'd gotten it for myself. So anyway, Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits, which I don't get to listen to because it has disappeared.